everybody, this is Noreen from Joy of Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, click the subscribe button, and there's a little bell, and if you click the bell, you'll be notified when my videos come up. So we're today going to do the actual cards for Kindest Gnomes. Now, on August 7, 2022, I did a full tutorial of all the paper and cutting and all the stamping and all that. So if you want to go back to that one and watch everything, explanation of all the dies, go back to that one and review it. But today I'm going to show you 4 cards, and we're going to make the last one at the end. So let's start out with my first card. Now you'll find this suite, which is actually called Storybook Gnomes, on page 42 and 43 of the 2022 mini catalog. So if you need one, go ahead and email me at noreen@joyofcards.com. So here's the first card here, and it's so cute. And I took the Storybook Gnomes DS paper, and I cut out the little snowflake stars here. And then I put the fine sparkle adhesive back gems on the, the little points in the center. And then the die here, I use stylish shapes for the sentiment. And then I put the little gnome together, and his nose I used crumb cake, and I've got basic white here, and the card base is just a 5.5 by 4 1/4. And also in the description of my video will be all the supplies, all the dimensions of the cards inside and out, and all my links. Now I am an Amazon affiliate, so I am totally safe to click on my Amazon links. So if you like my lighted board here, my glass board, or if you want to get the magnet sheets for the dies, I also have a link for all the DS paper in the nice little envelopes here where you keep all the scraps. So everything's in there. So, and then if you go on the inside, I just have a basic inside. I never put a sentiment inside my card because I don't know who I'm going to give it to. So I leave them blank. So I've got just a basic inside with one of those little snowflake flowers inside. And this is card number 1. Here's card number 2, and I still have it on Pacific Point lined with the white and the Storybook DS paper. And then the circles are the layering circles. And I cut out the little trees from the Storybook DS paper here. And I used the puff paint. This is Whisper White refill. This is puff paint right here, which you just put on a little thin layer, and then you use your heat gun and it puffs up. And it's pretty durable. Somebody asked me how long does it take to dry. You will need to have it dry. And if you put this in the mail, of course, it's going to get a little squished. So it's probably best to do a card for someone, you just hand it to them, but it still works. I mean, you can put it through the mail. But and then I used the layering circles for here as well and put it up on dimensionals. And I split the warm wishes. So I stamped warm, and then I cleaned it off, and then I stamped wishes. So I split them up here. And here's the little gnome from the DS paper up on dimensionals. And then on the inside, I kind of went with the layering circles again. I cut layering circles with that other sheet of the DS paper, and it just kind of looks all pretty. I kind of like it. So, and then of course this is balmy blue, but this is card number 2. Here's card number 3, and I completely moved away from the whole Christmas thing. So I really, really like this card. I almost did this for the demonstration, but I thought, no. This is a lot of fussy cutting. So we've got the Sweet Sorbet card base, and then we've got Parakeet Party, and then we got the Mint Macaroon all layered up. And like I said, all the dimensions are in the description of my video, so you can grab them from there. And by the way, since I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and if you aren't, because a lot of my subscribers are demonstrators or hobbyists themselves, but if you don't have a demonstrator, go ahead and click on any of the links in the description of the video, and you can place orders for anything, actually not only from this video, but and Stampin' Up! As well. So what I did is I took the paper Ring of Love, and this is such cute paper. When I saw this, I thought about the gnomes because it had all the mushrooms and all the cute colors. And I went ahead and I fussy cut all the little pieces from that particular DS paper, And it's you know, it's therapeutic. It will take a little time. I did not use my brother's Canon cut because it was really thin, and I didn't want that white outline, and so I chose to just fussy cut it. But I took all these little pieces because it's like got butterflies and mushrooms and flowers and stuff. So I went ahead and did that. I put my gnome together, and for the paper on that, I used the 2022-24 in color, which I love because it has all the new colors from this year, the Tahitian Tide and Sweet Sorbet and all that, and Parakeet Party I just love, and I love the little dots on here as well. So I use that paper, and his arms and his nose. So the arms, they don't give you an arm, so I just took the nose and I made two more, and it looks like arms, so it's good. And then the little heart is from Give It a Whirl, and that has the little tiny heart on it, and I thought it was so cute because I wanted him to hold something. So, and then I put the real red rhinestone. As you can tell, I use it to death. I love the real red rhinestones. I hope they never retire it. So, and I bumped him all up on dimensionals, and I've got layering circles, and I believe I took another stamp here, and I stamped you, and then I found an and then I stamped the me. So you just have to like clean off the stamp in between and just kind of play with it and center it up here. So, you know, it might take you a couple of times. But then I snailed everything except for this mushroom here. I bumped up on mini dimensionals, and it came out super cute. I really, really like this card. But I like gnomes some. And then on the inside, I just took those same colors and some more of the cuts and did the inside. But I really love this card. So this is card number 3. Here's card number 4. This is the one we're going to make. So what I've got is just a regular 5.5 by 4.25 card base. Now I went ahead and did the inside because that's silly for me to show you how to do that. But it's just basic black, basic white, and the black is 5.25 by 4. The white is 3.5 by 4.75. And I'm gonna show you how to make the mushrooms here in a minute. But the paper that I used for the mushrooms on the inside is from Snowflake Vellum, because I was looking for things with dots, and these were really cute. So I took the silver one and the kind of poofy, you know, textured one, and I just cut out the mushroom tops, and then the bottoms I cut another mushroom top in real red and the stem in real red, and just of course the grass piece here. And I really liked how this one is. Now this one is different, so you can make all kinds of different mushrooms. In fact, if you look at the August 7th video just a few days ago, you'll notice that I put out a million different, well, not a million, but a lot of a lot of these different mushrooms. So if you want to see a whole assembly of a whole bunch of them, just go back to that video. So that's the outside. Now let's do the inside. Vice versa. It's early Sunday morning. Now we've done the inside, let's do the outside. Let's start with the layering. So we've got basic black, and this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And we're gonna fix this on the card just because we can. And then we're gonna put it to the side because we're gonna be doing some major assembly here. So let's start with the coloring. Now we're going to take the gnome house and the gnome with the little lantern, and we're going to Versamark it. This was a really good idea because we're going to be doing some watercoloring, and at least on the gnome here, and it kind of keeps everything inside the lines, even when you're using the Stampin' Rights. It's a good thing. Plus, the when you do the embossing with the black embossing powder, it kind of makes it really stand out more. So we're going to take our Versamark, and we are going to get our gnome house all stamped up, and I'm going to put him, or it, in the upper left-hand corner. You can tell it's early. Even my voice sounds terrible. And we're going to put the house right here. Okay. And then we're going to take the little gnome dude, and we're going to put him next to his house. And I'm going to give myself enough room here for the sentiment. So just put them like here. All right, and then I'm going to take my embossing powder. Now this is that new tool in the catalog. It's the Embossing Editions Toolkit, and it's in the new mini catalog. And I really like it. I've always used a tray. I've never done the paper or anything like that. I've always liked the tray. So I had to get that when it came out. And it comes with a brush and look, an embossing buddy. You haven't seen that in a little while, huh? And then we're going to take our black embossing powder and go ahead and get him nice and coated. Make sure, especially when you're stamping toward an edge, make sure that that powder gets on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I might give it another little dusting here. Boom. All right, so the next thing that you can do with your embossing powder is just take off the little end here and put it into your cup, just like that. I also like to take, especially if I'm going to be doing some more embossing, I'll take like a tissue or something and I'll wipe out the tray because it does hold a little bit. Or I'll just flick it in my trash can like that. You heard me flick that, and then wipe it with a Kleenex or something just to make sure I'm not mixing clear with the black, you know what I mean? Also, they give you this nice little brush so you can take and just flick off, whoopsie, whatever you've got hanging on the side, just like that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take my gun and heat it up. Now I have this nice little device here. It's one of these totally Tiffany stations, embossing stations, and it's nice because I have a little thing if I want to put my item on a little thing so I don't burn myself. Little clipboard, just like that. And then here's the little piece that goes around the hole so I can just put it back up and be hands-free while it warms up. So it's kind of nice. So, and that's in the link in the description of my video. It's an Amazon link. Like I said, I am an affiliate, so I'm completely checked out. So you don't have to worry about, you know, clicking on something that takes you to a bad place. So I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up and get all that done here. And you can tell when it turns shiny. So I'm gonna keep this. And what's also nice about this, I can pick it up and I can kind of put it in the light and see the places that I missed without really touching it. So that's kind of nice. So now we're going to do the gnome. Now I did some different experimenting with the gnome before I decided on this one. And what this one is I took my take your pick tool with the putty end and I dipped it into the Versamark really hard and I made the spots this way, and we're gonna do this one. And then the second one, I did it, and this is in clear embossing powder, and this one's in black embossing powder. And then this one, I used that puff paint. So I had 3 different choices, and I went ahead and decided to do the clear. So that's what we're gonna do. And let's take our Versamark here, and I'm gonna make sure there's a lot of Versamark on my take your pick tool, and then I'm gonna make my dots. Now you do have to make sure you don't like dot over your dots, so kind of keep track, and if the light's good enough, you can see the little glossy end of the ink there. And I'm just going to make a whole bunch of the dots, and you got to really kind of press hard to get a good circle. So don't be shy about pressing down, and you can see, if you can see over a dot that you already did and it doesn't look like you got a lot of Versamark on there, just go over it again. And like this one didn't turn out as nice as I wanted, and just really kind of push hard. Get a couple in the hat. Okay, now I'm just going to put the clear on top of it. Make sure you got it covered real good, just like that. And then when I put this back in, this is why I wiped out my dish here before I put this to the side when I did the black, is because that can get into your other colors. So make sure you wipe it out really good. And then also make sure before you pour this in, don't have this go all the way to the edge, because once you open that cap, it'll all pour out and make a mess. So make sure that it's away from the hole here and just put it in like this. And then I'll also wipe this out as well, even though it's clear, because I don't want it to contaminate. So I just hit it up in my trash can and then I'll wipe it out. So I went ahead and I heat embossed it here, and so it's all heat embossed. I didn't think you needed to see that again. And then I'm going to take my water painter. Now I'm using the one from this pack here, and it's super pointy, so I like the really thin pointed ones. And I got all the water into my tip, okay? And then I'm going to take it straight on here and kind of tip it as well, kind of roll it, make the end nice and pointy. And then I'm going to do the hat and just go within those lines. And this is the part that's kind of nice, because we are using water here. That embossed black kind of keeps the water from running away. In fact, I don't want too much water. I want more color. And I would have done this with Stampin' Rights, but I think the color comes off of the clear circles better with the water painters. So I'm taking more color than water, because I don't really want that diluted color. I want that really bright cherry cobbler. So I'm going to go ahead and color him all in, and I'll be right back. So I did a couple of layers of the ink on the hat here, and I'm going to let him dry a little bit before we wipe it off. Now I'm just going to do his cuff right here, because there's a little tiny cuff right on his arm. And then I'm going to do the other sleeve. And this, like I said, that nice embossed black keeps my color from running around, so that's nice. And I'm going to do his pants here. Grab some more. And I'm going to give him a couple of coats, because I kind of like it really dark. And then let's see if I need to do anything over here. Yep, I need to do his other side of his pants, which is right on the left. And then it's kind of a judgment call on what you want to do under the lantern, if you want to deem it beard or pants. So I'm just going to do all pants under the lantern. That's what I did in the other one. It looks good. Okay. Alrighty. And I'm going to put on another coat, and I'll be right back. Now we're going to switch to Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to do the black for the shoes and his gloves and the outline of the lantern. Now, like I said before, I did not use Stampin' Blends on his hat and his clothes, because when I did the dots, when I used my Stampin' Blend, it didn't come off as much as if I watercolored it. That's why I'm switching. So I'm going to color in his gloves and shoes and stuff, and I'll be right back. So I did his shoes and his gloves. Now let's do the lantern. So there's a handle right by the gloves, and then the top of the lantern. Just be really careful to not go out of those lines. And then leave that middle open, because we're going to take our Mango Melody. And there's a gap between his glove and the lantern too. Don't color that in. So it looks a little better. I mean, if you accidentally, it's fine, but okay. And then we're going to take, this is the dark Mango Melody, and just fill in the light. Now that black will bleed into your mango a little bit, so try not to touch the black if possible. Maybe dot it. it'll look darker. I didn't do that there, and I pulled in some of that black, and I did not like that. So try not to hit the embossing powder or that black you just laid down. There, I dotted it, so it looks a lot brighter than this one does here. And then you can take whatever skin tone color Stampin' Blend you want. Now, in the catalog, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a whole section of the flesh tone Stampin' Blends. It's on page 128 in the annual catalog, and they're all kinds of flesh tones. Now, I was starting to collect these, and they changed them. So, like my SU 1000, yeah, that's discontinued, and the 200. So now they're different. So now I have to collect these, but at least they come in a set. So a deep, a medium, a lighter medium, a even lighter medium one, and light. So there are flesh colored Stampin' Blends now, which is really nice. So I'll be selling these that are discontinued. They did keep the bronze though. I do like bronze. So anyway, so I'm gonna take the light pale papaya, believe it or not. That's the one I kind of like the best. I didn't even go for the ivory. And I'm going to fill in his nose, trying not to hit that black again, because it'll even pick up that embossing powder. So I just went ahead with the light pale papaya. And now the little dude is done. And I'm such a liar. He's not done. I take like an eyeglass cloth, and I go over that clear embossing powder and try to remove as much as that cherry cobbler as possible. You're not going to get all of it off, but it will make it brighter. You can see the ink transferred on here. And just wipe him off. Wipe off his hat. And there we go. Now he's done. Now we're going to do his house. And I'm going to take dark crumb cake on the pointy end. And I'm going to do the windows. And the best thing to do is to dot inside those windows, trying not to pick up any of that pigment from the embossing powder. And I think it makes you a little more accurate when you dot it. So I'm going to dot in this window here, and then the window down below here. Okay, just like that. So I made a mistake. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I used the dark or the light pale papaya for the windows, but that's okay. Moving on. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to take the bronze, and I'm going to do his house. So you can either use the pointy end or this end here, and the painty end is what I call it. And I'm just going to fill in his house. So I'll do that, and I'll be right back. So I put on 3 coats of the bronze, and now I'm going to switch over to that dark crumb cake, and I'm going to go to the pointy end, and I'm going to put on the ink on the door. So I'm going to outline it, and I'm going to put a couple of coats on the frame part. So this part here, I'm putting on like 3 coats. So I put 3 coats on just the frame, and just to make it look a different color, I'm only going to put 1 coat on the slats here. So I'll do that, and I'll be right back. Now I'm going to go over to the window and put on 1 coat, or 2. I'll put 3 coats of the nope, I'm going to put in 1 coat because I made the mistake with the color on the window. I'm just going to put 1 coat. I'm also going to take the bronze again and try to give some dimension. Just make little lines over the embossed lines, and maybe along the side here, just to try to schmooze it up. Now it's Sunday morning, and this video is going up today. I never do that. I'm so far behind, but I reversed this. So the crumb cake I did on the house here, and the bronze I did on the door. So now you got, choices, right? You could decide which one you like the best, right? So then I'll take my basic black and do the handle like that. And now let's do the house now, or the top of the house. So let's take our dark mango melody and try not to touch that embossing powder as much as we can. But, you know, it's pretty impossible. So just try to fill in. So I'm going to paint the top of the mushroom here, and I'll be back. So I'm just finishing up the top of the house, and you're going to notice as you hit those lines that it will darken up. You could try to dot, and then also take a paper towel and try to wipe off the black on your nib here. But that's pretty much what that looks like. For the sky and the grass, I took a piece of paper and I just ripped it in half, and I'm going to take the teal Tombow. So this says removable adhesive. This is the stuff I use for masking all the time. And then decide where you want your sky. So I'm going to put my sky right here. And then grab a piece of scratch paper and put it under. And now we're going to do the sky. So for the sky, I'm taking Balmy Blue and one of the blending brushes. And I'm going to push this down here because I'm going to tap in the pad, tap off. Now usually I mask, but since this is embossed, we have a little more leeway here. Just try to avoid the gnome and the house. And we're not going to put a lot on here. Just going to put it on a little bit. And this color is so much lighter than what we've got here that's why I'm not too worried about masking this part. I am going to mask the gnome on the bottom though, because that green's a little darker. So I'm just going to do the sky here. Make sure you get in between the gnome house and the paper. Try not to put too much color, so make sure you tap off. It'll take you longer, but that's okay. You don't want to put a big circle mark on your sky. And then swirl and then go inward. Okay, and get it to where you like it. Make sure you get close to the house here. Now I did the sky a couple of different ways. I do have Give It a Whirl, and they have these really cute clouds on them. And I used the heart on the other card from Give It a Whirl. Now if you don't happen to have the clouds, what you could do is you can take that Whisper White refill and just put it in a little dish here and grab one of our old Stampin' Up sponges, or just any sponge. I don't know why they discontinued it, probably because of the blending brushes. And you can go ahead and fill in the sky. But before we do the sky or do that cloud, don't quite do it yet, because this stuff stays sticky for the longest time. This really has to dry. So, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to, well, you know what? I don't even need to, well, you can go ahead and try to match this up as much as you can on the other side. And then we're going to take our Parakeet Party, and we are going to blend in the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that masking tape is, it doesn't stay very tight, so you kind of have to hold your paper down sometimes because it will move. And then this is a dark color, so make sure you stamp that off good. And then just follow around. Now, oh, I do have a little mask for my gnome. And what you do is you take the die here and find the one that matches and cut out a mask. Now, I also took it and I cut off the edge. Like when you die cut these out, there's going to be a little ledge here on the side, and I went ahead and took my scissors and just cut off that edge. That's what makes that white around it. I cut that off, and I made this mask, and I put it on our little dude here. And then I don't have to worry about going over on the green, and I can get the green real tight on it. Now you could do that with the house as well, but I just didn't. So I'm just gonna go around it because the house is so dark. Oh, see, I splidged. Yep. Now if you make a mistake like that, just kind of, you know, it's handmade. We'll do something about that in a minute. And that's what we're doing here. So I can take this mask off now. And then I want to grab another sponge and get out crumb cake and take your little sponge. And I did his walk just with the sponge because I really don't want it dark, like, you know, like it's a actual normal kind of a sidewalk. I just wanted him to have what looks like dirt. And then kind of blending it in so it looks more like he just comes out of his house all the time. Just like that. Now we can take that Whisper white refill and just kind of dab it, kind of just little dabs on your blue. And even though I'm going to use both, so I'm going to do the white here, and then I'm also going to do the clouds too from Give It a Whirl. So I'm dabbing and then I'm blending it to make it look like a cloud. And if, like it said, you don't have that Give It a Whirl, you could just do this and leave it. In fact, that's how I originally had it. And then I thought, oh, I got these cute little clouds here from Give It a Whirl, I'll use that. But you could just leave it like so. But I'm going to go ahead and put these on with dimensionals. So the first one I'm going to snail. And just because we're doing a video here, I would normally just kind of wait and let that dry and put these on later, but I'll put them on now. But I will hit it with my heat gun. So I'm going to hit it with my heat gun real quick. I'll be right back. So I hit it with my heat gun, and now I'm just going to take one of the clouds with snail on it, and then this is dimensionaled, and just put it up like so. But even with the white behind it, I kind of like it because it gives the sky a little more texture. So I kind of like that anyway. So now I'm moving on to the bottom. Now I took my grass dye. I made a whole bunch of little grasses in this DS paper here. And this is the one from a Wash and Beauty. So there's all kinds of back sheets that you can get some really nice textured looking greens out of. So I made a bunch of those, and looks like I made like 5. Now I'm going to take all those little grasses and I'm going to snail them and just kind of add them on. Now the one all the way on the left, I'm going to put off the paper, so I'm going to cut the back, so because I want it to look kind of natural and maybe a little different too. So I'm going to layer these up how I like. I kind of like it like that, so I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to cut these off, and looks like that. Now I'm going to do the other side here and layer these up. Now I like using snail all the time anyway. I don't use a lot of glue just because it can be a mess, and once you glued something down, the paper under it is kind of compromised, so I kind of don't like doing that. In snail I can move around, so I'm gonna just kind of do these the way I like it, and I don't have to cut off this one. And now I'm gonna make the mushrooms and I'm gonna fit them in. Now the mushroom dies are right here, and they're 2 different like sizes of the stem, and the mushrooms, they are kind of the opposite. So what I did with this one here is I used the in color paper, and because I really like the little dots. But the other 2 over here, I used the house. So you can see where I cut this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and position the tops over the house, and then the bottoms I can just go ahead and use the rest of the house that doesn't have the dots on it. Even though I used a different color here, I used the Hues of Happiness, and I really like this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to use the stems on this side and over here because I like those particular colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So I cut these out, and when I cut these out, I taped them down a little bit here, and I used my delicate frog tape. I'm telling you, this stuff is great. You can use it over and over and over. And the only reason why I have a new roll is because we finished our basement, and I used some of it downstairs, and it's still not even all used up. So I just taped those down so they wouldn't move. So that's how I did the tops of those. And then, like I said, here is the stems using that Hues of Happiness from these two sheets, and it looks really cool. I like using some of these DS papers that look like this. They're super useful. And of course, whenever I'm cutting out with these little tiny little dies, I make sure I put them back on my magnet, because those are the ones that'll disappear and end up in your underwear drawer 10 years from now. So, and then I just put everything back in my folder here, the original folder that I just taped the thing down on the other side, and it keeps everything nice and safe. So I'm just going to snail the back of these and just put them on whichever one I want. I'll put that one there and put that one there, kind of the opposite colors, and then just snail all these little guys. I'm not even dimensionaling these because this is not a thick card at all. So I'm going to put the one that I made earlier on this side, and then this one I'm going to kind of tuck in the grass here. Kind of liked how that looked. The taller stem in the back, and then the shorter stem kind of in the front here. Just like so. And then we're going to take our card base and we're going to put this on. Make sure that which end is open and which end is not. It'd be terrible if I put it on backwards. And I'll just put it on top like so. And that's the card. So I give away my demo cards. If you are a first-time subscriber, like, subscribe, and put in the comments that you would like to win the demo card. I don't know who's a new subscriber or not unless you talk to me or not, and I recognize your name. So you have to say, new subscriber, I would like to win the demo card, and either put your email there. So many people have won the demo card, and I reply back saying, you won, email me your mailing address, and they never do it. So put your email in the comments, and I'll email you, get your mailing address, and I'll send it out for free. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Thanks, bye.